Okay, hi everybody. It's Kyoukai 922. Final episode of Kyoukai no Kanata. Now, there have been a lot of questions with this series. I've noticed it. Some people say it's good, but it's Some people don't like it at all. Some people dropped it here and there. Reviewing it from the beginning, what it transpired in this series, I thought, going into the final episode, I thought to myself, how are they going to end it? How are they going to do it? How is it going to go forward, give or take? At first, I was watching it and I was like, oh, shit. And by the way, the reason I'm giving this episode this rating is because of a lot of things. Number one, we found out huge reveals in the middle of the episode that went like, what? So that was one. But the other was the twist towards the end. That really had me. I was like, wow. But yeah, I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5. I'm sorry. This was just a really crazy final episode. As far as the second season, I can see it. I can see a second season happening from the conclusion of this episode. Well, yeah, this was final episode 12 of Kyoukai no Kanata. That means next week we won't be reviewing it. Great world. Now, I left off from last week with him being with her, in the white world area, of Beyond the Boundary. And they're arguing, saying, you shouldn't be here, and stuff like. He starts yelling at her, saying, did I want you to do that for me? No, I didn't. You didn't even ask me. And he starts arguing with her and shit. And it was a really good first part of the episode. Now, what I really... And then after that, we have... after that scene, we have Izumi. Izumi was mad. Oh my god, Izumi in this episode. So much revealed about her. Oh shit, that was mind-boggling. So, Izumi's basically talking to Akihito's mother. And she's like pounding questions to her, like, what is, what are you trying to get from Akihito? What is the, everything? And basically she tells her to stop, with the whole being of an adult, saying you're boring with the way you're going about it and shit, and saying that, to not do it, and she tells Mitsuki and Hirofumi that protect Akihito and Mirai, that they're special. They're special. And Izumi, and I think what that scene was about was Izumi was trying to, what was her angle? What was Akihito's mother's angle with this? But she never got an answer for it. And then we go into this thing where they have to go against that Moroku guy. Oh, this guy's a son of a bitch. Yo, this guy, man, like, pervert psycho number one. He was making some really crazy rape faces in this final episode. It was pretty crazy. But basically what ends up happening there is they surround him. They all end up fighting. Like, they all gathered together, Mitsuki, Hirofumi, Sakura, they all go up against, and then what ends up happening is he creates this barrier with it's just him and her, and they end up fighting. The rest of the episode's really it's just freaking Akihito and Mirai just running after the Beyond the Boundary. Unbelievable sequences in this final episode. It was like, holy shit. At one part, they're fighting this humongous army of Yomus. That was sick. And it was a lot of action sequences, them going everywhere and everywhere, going up this hill, snow thing. Basically, that whole area they were in was beyond the boundary. The Yomu was beyond the boundary. It was insane. Eventually, what happens though? They actually get help from during when they're fighting from Ayaka. You know, her and they help them fight. Ayaka help them fight the Yomus and stuff, and it's just like just insane amount of action sequences, and we had the good thing about this episode. What I thought was interesting was the cars going by. We had Akihito. He still had the power of Beyond the Boundaries in one of his hands, and he was fighting with it and shit. And I was like, "Oh shit, this is awesome!" It was pretty intense. What ends on happening is there's this one part where this fist comes out and fights Akihito, and he's saying all these things. Akihito saying, "You are me," and about the sadness, and that we weren't human, and all this shit. I was like, wow. And he ends up punching himself, who is beyond the boundary, and absorbs it. I was like, whoa. That basically. Back to where I just want to go tell you guys what happened with Izumi. Izumi's fighting, this guy, Moroku, and he's going back and forth, and he brings up something, and this holy shit mindfuck. Apparently, he has a Yomu inside of him. Moroku, but so does Izumi. I was like, what? And it was something that happened in her past, apparently, and then she gets pissed. Izumi. I was like, yo, Izumi for the win. She just beat the shit out of this motherfucker. Just taking it to the house on him. And eventually stabs him in his explosion. And then, of course, unfortunately, Hiromi found out about it. That she has a Yomu inside of her and shit. And, that was sick. Then going back to the whole thing with Mirai and Akihito. He takes care of himself, absorbs it. And this crazy shit thing happened. There were two mindfucks in this episode. The thing with Izumi and what happened here with Mirai. Mirai is about to walk towards Akihito as he's fallen to the ground after absorbing it and shit. And there's a crack on her leg. I'm like, no. I said no because I was like, crack on her leg, and she's trying to walk towards him and tells him to come closer to her and pat on her head and say thank you, and she starts falling to pieces. I'm like, what? So she falls to pieces, and he's freaking out, he's crying and shit, and at one point she just disappears and turns into dust, and I'm like, no. This didn't just happen. So she turns into dust. He grabs her ring as he's falling down onto the ground and goes back to Earth. And that's where that ends. But there's more to the episode. So we have that. And then we just have the afterwards of what happened. We find out that she left. Izumi. She's left the family, and we have this one scene with Hiromi, and he asks her, I used to greatly respect you, Mei-san, but now I don't anymore. So I was like, shit. So she just disappears, and supposedly now Hiromi is going to be the head of the Naisei family. that's basically the story there. We also find out that everyone's going back to their usual routine. But Mirai's gone. I was like, no, this is bullshit. I hate this. No. I was so pissed. Then, after that whole thing, we find that out. He's very depressed about it, kind of. We have also Mitsuki. She's in the club room, the literacy club, and he's talking to her and stuff, and his usual routine. And when he leaves, she gives him this like depressed look. Mitsuki's like she's totally, completely worried about him. And we see him sitting on a bench, and then one day, he's looking at glasses and stuff, and all of a sudden, he like runs through the hallway, because what happens is he goes outside of school, and he looks at the ring, and the ring disappears that he grabbed, Mirai's ring, and he runs into the school, up the hallway, through the hallway, all the way to the roof, and he sees her. We don't see her. We just see him at the moment looking at her and saying, "You really look good with glasses." And we see her, and I'm like, oh my god. And then, she tells him that's unpleasant. And he doesn't grasp how it was that she was able to come back, but it's something that she must have done to come back. And that's where the episode ends. And you just see her, I'm like, yo, that was crazy. So that's how the episode ends. Now, I should really give this a 4.5, because the only thing that really bugged me about this was how she came back. That was what bugged me of this episode, the final episode. But what was good about this episode, though, was at least we found out about Izumi, which I didn't even know. Damn, that was crazy. At least we found those things out. We did find something out in the final episode, which I thought was good. Going to give this complete series 8. 8 out of 10. That's as high as I could possibly go. Because you got to bear in mind, some people dropped the series. Some people dropped it. Some people said, this is bullshit, I don't want to watch it anymore. But for good reasons. I mean, if you go back and you watch episode 6, there's some people out there watch episode 6 and say, oh, this is so fucking gay. I'm not even, but I would say it was one of the more enjoyable series of the season. Much more enjoyable than the other series. I can tell you right now, it's a little bit more enjoyable than Frieza. Bear in mind, certain aspects. But I really enjoyed the series. Give it 8 out of 10. And I do believe we're going to get a second season. I do believe that. We are going to get a second season. Because there's the thing with Izumi. There's also the fact that he still has the Beyond the Boundary inside of him, Akihito. So there's still a lot of mysteries behind that. But 8 out of 10 for the complete series. Very good. Good series. It was a good anime series. Now, I know what people are going to say in the comments section. It sucks. Or they don't like it. Bear in mind, why I'm giving it 8 out of 10 is this. They had that episode where they explained almost everything. Well, they explained Mirai. They explained Izumi. They explained their actions. When they said they were going to kill Akihito. That episode explained everything. So that comes into play when I'm giving this rating to a certain extent. But this was a good series. It's not the best of the season. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm saying it's a good anime series. I'm not calling it great, not calling it wonderful. It's a good anime series. And if you want a second opinion, people, go ask Killing with a Shotgun. Yes. She liked last week's episode. She really digged it. Now, I hope the second season of it, if it comes, which should happen, I hope it comes out sooner than later. I hope we get it in like a year time, hopefully, or maybe a year in summer, because this was really enjoyable to a certain extent. I really enjoyed certain aspects of it, and it was a real change of pace the way they handled it, and it was kind of funny how like episode 6, and then all of a sudden, they had that one episode they explained shit, and I was like, wow. And in this episode, got that reveal. That gives you incentive. That to me gives you incentive to say, I'm gonna still watch. Go, if the second season comes up, watch it, because you want to see more stuff about it, find out more information about Izumi and everything. So, yeah, this was a good ending. Liked how they did about it. Would give this a 4.5, 5, give or take. I would say 4.5, more than 5. And yeah, that's pretty much it, people. Put it in the books. Kyoukai no Kanata's over. I want more. Shit, I want more. I want another season. I want another season. Need another season. So, yeah, that's the story on Bankai 9.2, and I will see you guys later. Peace.